Welcome to the SwitchClicksPodcast, episode 45, recorded on July 27th, 2021. Today we'll be discussing the live-action Pokemon series that is in early development at Netflix. My name is Dakota, and today I'm joined by Nathan.
Oh.
And that's it, just us two.
Yep, again.
So, it seems like Netflix has been making a lot of Nintendo series lately, but earlier in the year, there was like a semi-confirmation that they canceled a Star Fox series, Legend of Zelda series.
Yep.
We talked about that earlier, and it sounds like it would be pretty cool. Those didn't really have anything running for it, I'd say. But the Pokemon one here, it sounds pretty legit because it has a name behind it. And I guess I think Comic-Con at home that's probably what they call it nowadays.
Yeah.
They had basically a whole day where they talked about the Lucifer series. And I believe they showed off season 6, which is supposed to be the final one. And for some reason, this story kind of bled out of Variety, which is kind of odd, but also perfect timing. So they must have interviewed the guy. He must have cracked.
Just watch they panic again.
Yeah. The guy's name is Joe Henderson. And from his IMDb, he is a showrunner, basically scriptwriter, and executive producer for the Lucifer series.
And a very small number of other stuff.
Yeah, it looks like he's kind of like a general producer and writer. I've never heard of any of these shows.
An indie film producer, maybe.
White Collar seems kind of like boring. And they have one called World Trade Center. Don't know why, but
I wonder what that's about.
He apparently acted in it too.
Oh, okay.
He was an assistant to a character.
Oh well, I guess producers do that sometimes.
My brother, he watched through Lucifer. He recently pretty much binged the entire series. Okay. He thinks it's really good, but he likes those kinds of shows that are like, hey, take this mythical character and put them in the real world, in action and whatever crap. I watched the first 5 episodes, and I thought it was hot garbage.
Ouch. I'm not a DC fan, so I didn't bother watching that.
I don't think it even matters that it's DC. I thought it was just interesting that, hey, they would put the devil in real life and see how it reacts.
And then it's bad.
And then it's hot garbage.
I actually wonder what Tyler thinks about that show. If he's actually watched it or not.
I doubt he watched it.
He's kind of doing a DC film marathon, so you kind of expect him to be experienced around other DC stuff.
Yeah, I didn't even know it was DC until I think about a couple weeks ago.
Wasn't it? Didn't we find out when we did the live stream when we ranked every DC film?
Oh yes, that's probably where we found out.
All the niche stuff.
Yeah. I will say that Lucifer, I believe it was bought by Netflix after the first season. Yeah. Like the first season did not do very well or something, and then Netflix bought it and then started producing again. After, I believe, like a 2-year hiatus.
Yeah, can't blame them. They need something, I don't want to say superhero, but I guess comic book related.
Yeah, and I think the worst part of the 5 episodes that I did watch, was it was just kind of boring. I will say that the actor, Lucifer himself, was a very good actor. He's like British or something. He looks very good for, I guess, the devil himself.
Yeah.
The CGI was all right for the tiny bit they had it. But it was just a slow burn that I didn't want to keep going.
Kind of reminds me of all the Marvel shows.
Yeah, exactly. Except this is like 25 episodes each.
That's really painful.
And now
that worries me a bit. What might happen with Pokemon Netflix?
Yeah, it's very weird that he's doing Pokemon, but I guess they're like, hey, let's just take on a person that's already on our payroll and just give him to Pokemon, which is very weird. Unless they're doing like, hey, Pokemon in real life. They come out of the game, which would be so bad.
I'd rather they bank off of Detective Pikachu, but they don't seem to be doing that.
Well, I believe a Detective Pikachu sequel is in development.
Yes, they are writing the script right now. or legendary is. Like, but I don't know how far they're getting into that.
The PCU, Pokemon Cinematic Universe.
I wouldn't mind, but can we get other Nintendo stuff, please?
Yeah. I think the problem is if they did like the fish out of water kind of storyline, that's been done so many times, and it's like almost a
Ew.
stereotype for a video game to do that, a video game movie to do that.
I hate when that happens. It you can always predict the ending, any of those, and
The main character gets invested with the human characters, and then he has to leave, and it's big sad. But actually, he can just go back and forth because of the end credit scene.
and then the ending is always anticlimactic.
Yeah, because you already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So in this case, it's probably better to bounce off of the universe that they've already created and
Yeah, exactly.
either work with, I don't remember the region's name.
Legendary. Oh, well, that's the studio, but
Yeah, what's the region? I don't remember the region.
Shoot, yeah.
Anyways, it looks like New York.
Yeah.
And they could easily work off of that, and it's just maybe a smaller kind of setting. They could also just like follow a 10-year-old.
Yeah. Maybe
with kind of like the I guess the anime style.
It could. Don't call him Ash though.
Yeah.
I swear, if this is a reboot, I'd be so disappointed.
It'd be like the third reboot from Netflix.
Yep.
The fact that they made Pokemon Journeys, which is basically a mini reboot, that they go through all of the generations instead of Sword and Shield.
And then there's Pokemon Generations, the one that's based off of Fire Red.
Yes.
Red, green, blue.
And then they made the 3D CGI for the first movie. Completely they remade it.
Forgot about that.
I didn't watch it because I knew it was going to already be bad, but apparently it's decent.
Oh, really? I need to catch myself up with that.
I think, well, most Pokemon movies are rated like a 6 or 7 anyway. So the bar isn't that high.
Yeah. Good to know.
And I would like to note that on the Variety story here, they mention that, they've tried to make like anime into movies, like live action, and it hasn't worked out for Netflix.
Yeah, I think we know what movie. I think we know what movie did that and failed.
Yeah,
really badly.
And it looks like they're gonna make a live action Cowboy Bebop and One Piece, which I don't think that's gonna work. I don't know if Nathan, you're familiar with those.
No, but I know it's gonna be really expensive.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop is like a cult classic. I haven't watched it yet, but apparently it's really good. And then One Piece is like it's 1,000 episodes long.
Yeah, exactly.
So I don't know how they're going to do that.
Unless
but then they previously did Death Note also, and that was apparently really bad.
Ouch.
I've watched the original, and then I watched like a review or like a recap on the film version, and they just ruined so many things.
Why couldn't they just make a new and original story?
Because it's expensive, and it's not guaranteed success.
I guess that's true, but Detective Pikachu is different from the game in a sense.
So, you can make the same argument with Nintendo, where they're like, yeah, we're just going to make another Mario game instead of making a new IP, and chances are the new IP will do a lot worse than the Mario game, so we'll do the Mario game.
Laps and Splatoon.
Yeah, and kind of ARMS, but not really.
Have you seen the people raiding stores for Pokemon cards? You don't have to be one of those people. Shop at PokeNerds to get all your Pokemon card needs. Use code SwitchClicks for 5% off your entire order, and support us making the content you're listening to.
But with that being said, though, I think Nintendo really needs to explore more into like TV rather than waiting on the Mario movie to take off before they start doing anything else.
Yeah, I think the rumors that they're gonna make other shows with Netflix are a little bit off, but I think they're probably doing meetings, and that's what comes out of it.
Yeah.
Because they have to do meetings before the movie comes out.
Yeah.
Because why would you check if the movie's gonna be done, and then they make their money from the movie, and they're like, did this do well or not? And then 2 or 3 years later, you'd get another thing, which is just inefficient with business.
Rather than planning ahead.
Exactly. And then if they're early enough, they can always just cancel it and say, hey,
Yeah.
we spent only $500,000 instead
Or
of
maybe just panic
million.
because somebody leaked the information early by accident.
Yeah, and then we would never get it, and then we would have development hell.
Yeah. Can't wait for that to happen again.
Yeah. And also Netflix has kind of like streaming exclusivity for Pokemon, because they do have Pokemon Journeys, like I said earlier, and Pokemon Indigo League, but not the original. But I guess Indigo League is just like an extension of the original show.
I get that.
I'm not very familiar.
Not me neither. You can go both ways.
Yeah,
Now,
so
I'm not sure how far they can go with Pokemon Go. Imagine what they could do, because you remember those rumors about how Netflix is going to the gaming industry.
yeah.
Imagine what they could do with that, and like Nintendo and Pokemon have some contract with them.
Now, what's good is Nintendo only owns, I believe I saw a statistic, it was only 45% or 35, something around there.
32% of the Pokemon company.
Yeah, so they don't have that much input, but I guess they would have a little bit of input.
They are in charge of the marketing, I believe. As far as I know, that's what I've seen them do all the time.
Yeah, then that's perfect.
But other than that, I don't know. Nintendo kind of does stuff, but I don't think they're to blame for it.
I think I did see a story recently that they interviewed a CEO or like a big hotshot at Netflix, and they asked them about gaming, and they're like, "Oh, gaming is just another version of entertainment we want to explore, similar to movies and shows." It's like,
That's the
okay,
problem. Like I think it's clear enough how games and shows are not the same. Cough, cough, Google Stadia.
yes,
There's like streaming services have failed already, or at least they've like unless you're like Microsoft with the Xbox Game Pass. Streaming services are a little scary gaming. And if they decide to do Pokemon on Netflix, like as a game as well, I'm not comfortable with that. Like I'd rather play Pokemon Unite.
now
Pay to win.
I wonder if they could like mix the two, like their Black Mirror series where you make a bunch of choices, and then Pokemon. Because in Pokemon, you make a bunch of choices. A, your starter.
Yeah.
B, you don't really need to choose where you go if it's a linear path of beating the Pokemon trainers. And you could maybe just get random encounters based on, maybe not based on how you play, it's just random, whatever Pokemon you get.
So is this like a choice-based adventure?
Yeah. It's probably going to be a little bit more linear than what they want, but like if you're in the first thing you choose, what starter you want, and then you go to your first route, and it's like, do you want to go left, middle, or right? And it can be like tree, water, grass, and then you get a random choice of 3 Pokemon out of that area. So they could easily split it up really fast, but also at every gym, that's where it comes back. So it's very linear.
That sounds very Telltale.
Yeah. Well, Telltale
Pokemon.
can't make that. They're dead.
Yep. Actually, I think they did come back. Well,
I think a company bought them or something. But yeah,
bought them out, and like, yeah, but
they won't be making games for a while. That was 2 years ago that Telltale broke down?
Yeah, that's time flies.
Holy crap!
Back 2 years ago, we were watching the very end of the Walking Dead.
What in the world?
Yeah, crazy. Time flies by.
Thank you for joining us in discussing the live-action Pokemon series that is in early development at Netflix. We'd love it if you could follow us on Twitter and listen to future episodes on Spotify and iTunes. Join our Discord for insight on future episodes. And we'll see you next time on the SwitchClicksPodcast.